graphs, PowerPoints. But it was hard to turn Larry down. He called me and twisted my arm.
He's good at it.
He's very good at it. You know, 9-hour drive to get down here, 9-hour drive to get back, and I'm only going to speak a few minutes because this is a day when you should be enjoying the great outdoors here. But Larry, you know, if you measure him from his shoes to his hat, he may not be very tall, but he really stands very tall. He's a remarkable person in standing up for what's right, even when people try to intimidate him. And I think that's extremely important because we're at a point now where we really do have to get some changes in the near future, and we are going to win that fight. It's very clear that as the story becomes clearer. Now, Larry is concerned mainly about the mountaintop removal and the immediate effects on people here. I'm concerned in my work with the global picture of what all these fossil fuels are doing, not just the mountaintop removal, but the oil extracted in the Gulf of Mexico and the tar sands in Canada, and all of the fossil fuels. And that's a picture which, if we can make it clear, the public will be on the side of doing what's right. But we have to make it clear. You know, I drove down here with Henry Fair, who takes pictures of all these places, the mountaintop removal, the Gulf of Mexico, the tar sands, and that's extremely important. We have to expose what is going on, and that's essential to getting to the solution. And in science, defining the problem is half of the solution. Now, so let me just tell you a few words about the problem, and that it's become clear that the human changes of atmospheric composition, we've increased the atmospheric carbon dioxide from 280 parts per million when your family first came here 200 years ago, whenever that was, before we started to really burn the coal, to 389 parts per million now. And we know from the physics, it's very simple what that does. The carbon dioxide is opaque in the infrared part of the spectrum, the part of the spectrum that radiates the heat. And so it blocks the Earth's heat radiation and causes the Earth to be out of energy balance. So it's absorbing more energy from the sun than it is expelling as heat radiation. And we can measure that very well now. We can see how much the planet is out of energy balance because that energy is mostly going into the ocean. So what we do is measure the temperature within the ocean. We see that it's getting warmer, and we see that the planet is beginning to get warmer. But the reason that this is a hard problem is because of the time scales that it takes the Earth to respond. Because the ocean is 2.5 miles deep, because the ice sheets are a couple of miles thick, they don't respond immediately as we change the planet's energy balance. So the result is it takes several decades for you to see the full effect. We've only experienced about half of the warming due to the gases that are already in the air. That means that the young people here and their children are the ones who will experience the largest effects. And that's why this is really, it's a question of intergenerational justice. If we don't, now that the situation has become clear, if we don't move on to the energy systems beyond fossil fuels, we will be doing a great injustice to young people and future generations. And that has become clear, and yet the politicians are not taking actions. They now talk. They're now forced to recognize this situation. So they say we have a planet in peril. They say all the right words. But if you look at what they're doing, if you look at what's proposed in Washington, these cap and trade bills and things, which if you read them, there's a few thousand pages of giveaways to the coal industry and to the oil industry. They're not doing the simple things that would be needed to solve the problem. And the simple thing that is needed is we're going to have to put a fee on fossil fuels, which gradually rises over time. You collect it from the fossil fuel companies, and 100% of that money should be distributed to the public as a green check every month. If you did that, then we would solve all of these problems: the tar sands, mountaintop removal, because as the fossil fuels gradually get more expensive and we move to clean energies, then we will leave the rest of the coal in the ground. But until we make the fossil fuels pay by putting this added price on them, we'll just keep burning them, because somebody will burn them, as long as they're the cheapest energy. So that's, we've got to make this story clear. And I think it's going to become clear in the fairly near future. One thing that my greatest interest now, and most of my energy, is going into the legal case, because our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence, and this is a good time to mention it since the 4th of July tomorrow, they have words in them that talk about posterity, and there's an implication of obligation. The reason we established governments is to protect the citizens, and that includes posterity, that includes young people and future generations. And I think we have a better chance of making that case in the courts than we do in the legislative and executive branches. And that's what you can look forward to us trying to do that over the next year or two. So the final thing I want to say, though, is what is done by the people around here, not just Larry, but all the people who are fighting the mountaintop removal. It may seem that you're up against a huge machine, political machine as well as money. But by causing some delay, by delaying the progress of these machines trying to chew up the mountains, that's extremely important, because that gives us the time to make the case, to make the larger case, and begin to put a price on these fossil fuels and solve the overall problem. So please keep up that effort. Thanks.
Well, let me tell you now, I know y'all come to see me. I know you come to see me, but wasn't it worth it hearing him talk now? Wasn't it worth it? Let him know you appreciate